The television helicopters circled above the crowded streets as reporters stood shoulder to shoulder outside a quiet neighborhood, repeating the same unbelievable question that had taken the entire country by surprise. Every major news station was searching for one ordinary man who had disappeared from public life years earlier. Nobody wanted him because he was rich, famous, or powerful. They wanted him because one forgotten act of kindness had silently changed thousands of lives, and a dying billionaire had left behind only one final request: find the single father who gave me his last meal 9 years ago. Everything I became afterward belongs to him. What happened next would remind millions that the smallest sacrifice can echo across a lifetime. Before this incredible story begins, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us if you believe kindness always finds its way back, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Lifeline Tales for more emotional stories that restore faith in humanity. On a bright spring morning, Rowan Mercer walked slowly through downtown carrying the small backpack that held everything he and his 6-year-old son, Finn, needed for another difficult day. 9 years earlier, Rowan had never imagined that life could become so heavy. His wife had passed away after a sudden illness, leaving him alone with a little boy who still woke up every morning expecting his mother to walk into the kitchen with a smile. Rowan worked temporary construction jobs whenever someone needed an extra pair of hands, but the work came and went with the seasons. Some weeks they managed to pay rent. Other weeks they survived on canned food donated by neighbors who understood how hard a single parent struggled without ever asking for sympathy. That particular afternoon the city seemed brighter than usual. Children laughed in nearby parks, office workers filled the sidewalks during lunch, and food trucks released delicious smells that only reminded Rowan how empty his stomach had become. After finishing a long shift carrying heavy building materials under the warm sun, he finally counted the few dollars he had earned. It was barely enough to buy one simple meal. He ordered a bowl of hot chicken soup and a sandwich from a small family cafe. His plan was to split everything with Finn after picking him up from the community center where volunteers watched children until struggling parents finished work. As Rowan stepped outside holding the warm paper bag, he noticed an elderly homeless man sitting against a brick wall beneath the shade of a maple tree. The man's clothes were worn beyond repair, his hands trembled from weakness, and his eyes carried the quiet exhaustion of someone who had lost hope long ago. Passers-by walked around him without making eye contact. Some hurried away as though kindness required more time than they could spare. Rowan slowed his steps. He looked at the food in his hands and then at the old stranger whose breathing seemed weaker than the traffic surrounding them. Without stopping to calculate tomorrow's problems, Rowan knelt beside the man and gently placed the entire meal into his shaking hands. The stranger stared at him with disbelief before tears quietly filled his tired eyes. Rowan simply smiled, wished him a peaceful day, and continued walking away with nothing except enough bus fare to reach the community center. His own stomach remained empty, but his heart somehow felt lighter than it had in months. That evening Rowan and Finn shared 2 slices of dry bread left in their kitchen cabinet, laughing together as Rowan invented funny stories to distract his son from their hunger. Neither of them realized someone across the street had quietly watched everything. The homeless man was not truly what he appeared to be. His name was Alistair Vaughan, once the founder of a successful technology company worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Years earlier he had lost his wife and daughter in a tragic accident. Grief consumed him so completely that he abandoned his business, gave away nearly everything he owned, and disappeared without telling anyone. He wandered across the country wearing ordinary clothes, convinced that money had never been able to save the people he loved. He believed humanity had become cold and selfish, and every day seemed to prove him right, until one hungry single father gave away the only meal he could afford. That simple act pierced the darkness surrounding Alistair's broken heart. For the first time in years, he realized compassion still existed in the world. Instead of ending his journey in despair, he quietly returned to his company, determined to rebuild not only his fortune but also his purpose. He invested every success into shelters, scholarships, children's hospitals, food programs, and organizations that lifted struggling families. Yet he never forgot the tired young father who had unknowingly reminded him that goodness survives even in poverty. Rowan never learned any of this. Life remained difficult. Months became years filled with sacrifices that no newspaper ever reported. He worked construction, cleaned warehouses during the evenings, repaired broken fences for neighbors on weekends, and accepted every honest job that allowed Finn to continue attending school. Every birthday gift was handmade. Every holiday celebration was simple. But Rowan measured wealth differently. Each time Finn smiled, earned good grades, or helped another child, Rowan believed he had already received more than many rich people ever experienced. Finn grew into a thoughtful teenager whose teachers admired his kindness. While other students competed for popularity, Finn quietly volunteered at food drives, helped elderly neighbors carry groceries, and tutored younger children struggling in school. Whenever someone praised his generous heart, he simply remembered his father's example without realizing that one forgotten afternoon had already changed another family's destiny forever. 9 years later, Alistair Vaughan's health suddenly declined after a long battle with an aggressive illness. Despite possessing unimaginable wealth, he understood that his remaining time was short. During his final interview, broadcast nationwide, he shocked viewers by refusing to discuss his business empire. Instead, he shared the story of an exhausted single father who had offered his last meal to a starving stranger without expecting recognition, reward, or gratitude. Alistair revealed that this anonymous act had completely transformed his life and inspired every charitable foundation he later created. Then he looked directly into the camera and made one emotional request that immediately captured the nation's heart. He asked every news organization to help him find the man who had unknowingly saved his soul. Within hours, television stations, radio hosts, journalists, and millions of people across social media began searching for the mysterious single father. Grainy security camera footage from the old cafe surfaced. Volunteers compared faces, neighborhoods, and old employment records. Reporters traveled across cities following tiny clues that seemed impossible to connect. Nobody knew whether the man was still alive, had moved away, or even realized that the entire country had suddenly begun searching for him.